economy, education, work, responsibility. What we think about these depends on our worldview. Now, VCY America presents Worldview Radio with Brannon Howse.
And good afternoon. Welcome to the broadcast on this June 16th, 2025. Glad to be with you here on the VCY America Radio Network, WROS out of Jacksonville, Florida, and Worldview Tube. Saturday, we were on the air, 2 hours on Saturday, Logan? And 2 hours on Sunday, Father's Day. I'd expected to take the whole day off because I didn't even have to teach a Sunday night because it's Father's Day. So I was going to enjoy the whole day and work in the yard, and that didn't happen. Spent hours and hours researching into the night, Saturday night, and then, of course, Sunday morning up researching and ready to go for live television at 1 o'clock for 2+ hours because it is breaking out over there. We are continuing to pray for Dr. Rob Linstead, who was able to get 17 people out of Jordan. They had to move over from Israel to Jordan to fly out because the Tel Aviv airport, of course, is closed. 17 people got out. We're waiting to hear if Rob himself got out. We just texted him about 30 minutes ago. So pray for them. Pray for all of Israel. We unfortunately have more dead in Israel as ballistic missiles were getting through last night onto Israel. We're going to get a report from Aaron Lavarco, our man on the ground there in Israel, in just one moment, and Leo Holman. We're also hearing about what is said to be some kind of secret flight from China to Iran that seems to have the intelligence community quite nervous. What could be shipped from China to Iran? We'll deal with that here in a moment with Leo Holman and our man on the ground in Israel, Aaron Lavarco. We also are hearing that Iranian military states that Pakistan is prepared to nuke Israel. We're also getting word that there are more U.S. assets being moved into the region. So what we were talking about now for several months has been what? That this thing escalates and President Trump is drawn in. My policy is still the same. America can provide defense, sell them weaponry, but America does not need to be involved in direct strikes. America certainly does not need boots on the ground. We don't need a wider Middle Eastern war. We have our own problems here. I'm going to go back to what I said. Sometimes it's hard to keep up with what I've said on radio and what I've said on television, but I want to make sure the audience understands that I believe America has a very schizophrenic overall policy when it comes to domestic policy and international policy. There is total schizophrenia when it comes to domestic policy and international policy. Here we are now putting more resources into the Middle East, which again, I'm fine with us selling Israel stuff and maybe even helping them to knock down incoming ballistic missiles from a defensive standpoint. But here we are helping them defend their country. Who's defending ours? Because the regime, Iran, I believe, has their terror cells here, as we've been talking about for years. We know that many of these mosques in America are run by countries and by imams that talk about death to America, killing the Christian, killing the Jew, being involved in jihad. But they just keep running the mosques. No problem here. Why is America even worried? If Islam is so peaceful, if Islam is so great, and so wonderful and such a non-threat to America as to allow thousands of mosques to preach death to America and have, as they say themselves in their own words, one guy last week, a former Black Panther, now Islamist, that we have a standing army in America. If that is so non-threatening to America, why are we defending Israel at all? Islam is Islam. Either Islam is a threat to Israel, and thus it's a threat to America, or it's not. But if it is a threat to Israel, then why are we continuing to allow these mosques to operate in America with their imams talking about overthrowing the government? So there you go. Now, of course, since we were on the air, thankfully nothing happened of any great consequence at the No Kings rallies, although there were some people shot. There was some serious violence, and I guess some of them invaded a federal building in one city. So there was some serious violence, no doubt about it. Thankfully, it didn't get any higher than what did occur. I don't know if any of you watched the parade on Saturday. We were on the air. Then when I got off the air, I watched a little bit of it. It really wasn't that entertaining to just watch, what was going on when it comes to the tanks and different things. And mostly I saw a robotic dog walking down the street, some guys with drones. So I got bored pretty quick. But I did enjoy the patriotic music. Now, I think they should have done all of that. I think if I were coordinating that whole thing, I would have saved a fortune by not bringing all that military in there. And I would have just done just an old-fashioned patriotic concert that would have been fabulous. Kind of like PBS did for years, maybe they still do, where they have their PBS 4th of July, where it's just a lot of great patriotic music, full orchestra. Now, that's entertaining. Just watching tanks go by. I mean, we're all kind of immune to that from years and years of TV and movies and whatnot. I mean, that's just not very entertaining. Certainly not watching robotic dogs walk down the street. That was pretty lame. And some of those guys, it doesn't even look like they know how to march. Did you guys see some of that? It was like, who? I mean, they should be in trouble. If that's the best they can march, we're in big trouble. But I watched a little bit of it. But like I said, didn't really find it all that compelling, other than when they finally got to some good patriotic, fully orchestrated music. Now that got good. That got real good. I think it was paid for mostly by private money, is what I'm hearing. I did see a Palantir logo pop up in the backdrop. So apparently Palantir paid for it and some others. So $45 million paid for by private companies. Okay. But really, what was it? I think it was a big, gigantic recruitment, PR, recruitment info commercial. I mean, some people said to me, after watching that, I was ready to go sign up. I think that was partly the goal. It was a gigantic military-industrial complex recruitment infomercial. So there you go. So we get through the weekend with mostly nothing. That's good. But then over the weekend, we find out about some guy in Minnesota that goes and kills a state representative who I think had been the Speaker of the House until recently, and her husband. Horrific. And then shoots a state senator and his wife. Thankfully, they're alive. Shot multiple times, we were told. Now, that whole story out of Minnesota makes 0 sense. Now, I have received text over the weekend from people that I have known for years, 30 plus years, 35 years. And I've received texts about friends of mine that I've known for 40 years. People that I went to school with that apparently know this guy, know his family, know the church he goes to. And they're all, well, some of them said is, we want to vomit. Our stomachs are turned upside down. We don't know what to make of this. We don't know anyone like this. We don't know who that guy is. It makes 0 sense. And if you look out on social media, that's what everybody's saying. The whole thing smells very, very fishy, does it not, folks? Like, we really think it was just this guy involved. That's it. Nobody else. There wasn't something deeper going on here. Was he not tied back to some NGOs? Was he not tied to some so-called security group? I mean, then there's a video of him overseas. What was in the Congo? Some weird video of him jumping around, supposedly preaching, jumping around and acting very, very odd. I mean, the whole thing, and pointed by Walz, pointed by Dayton before that. So wait a minute. Walz is now pointing their supposed, quote, Christians that are supposed Trump supporters, homeschoolers. What? Really? Walz is doing that? I don't know. The whole thing smells. I have no idea what's going on there. I just know some folks in the Twin Cities that know him, know his family, and they're like, what? This makes no sense. So it's very, very odd. I have not enough information really to comment beyond what I just did. We'll watch it play out. But what a weekend. Now, the big story, of course, for us has been following what's going on in Israel and all the ballistic missiles, and sadly, lots of people in Israel dead now. The regime is on the run. Many of the leaders in the regime in Iran are dead. And now apparently they're hunting Khomeini. They're going after him. And apparently Israel has all of the skies in Iran. They're running the territory. They even bombed an airport on the far side of Iran, almost outside of the country, right up to the end of where the nation's border is. Israel is running the gamut. And we hear that they're going to be doing more, and this is not going to stop anytime soon. Now, the president apparently wanted to put out tweets asking Iran to come back to the table. That brought great consternation this weekend from Annie Cyrus. That brought great consternation from people like Shahram Hadian. Why would President Trump want the mullahs to come back to the table? We're not interested in seeing the mullahs continue. Why do you want to see the mullahs come to the table and cut a deal? Why at this point not let Benjamin Netanyahu's team finish it up and be done with that regime and let the people in Iran who want liberty and freedom take over? Because after all, we showed video this weekend of Iranians on their porches, of their condos, of their apartment buildings up high in the air, sitting out there cheering on Israel as the bombs were landing in the distance, and they were literally passing out bags of popcorn. We played the video. The Iranians, so many of them, the Persians, so many of them want liberty. They want freedom. Why on earth would we even talk about Iran coming back to the table? So that's got some people who are clear thinking very concerned about what is Mr. Trump saying. Now, there's conflicting reports out today that maybe he's saying, no, I'm sorry, now that time frame has passed. Really, what's convinced him overnight? You see, part of the problem is poor Mr. Trump, and I mean that sincerely, has got so many people speaking in his ear, one on the right, one on the left, people who are saying, go all the way, let's get involved in this thing, Mark Levin. Other people on the other side of his ear talking, saying, no, stay out of this. The MAGA people, they did not vote for you to go to war. People that voted for you, MAGA or not, the 77 million that voted for you did not vote for war. You promised not to go to war. You can't get involved in this in an offensive manner. So the poor guy has a divided administration. The Bible says a house divided against itself cannot stand. He's got a divided administration. And so it's got to be a tough job. That's for sure. Joining us to talk about it is Leo Holman and our reporter on the ground, Aaron Lavarco. We may add in Annie Cyrus if she's available at some point. Guys, welcome to the broadcast. We're going to go to a break right now, but I wanted to welcome you both. Aaron, Leo, we'll be right back after this break. Leo's website is leoholman.com, leoholman.substack.com. Aaron is lighttothenationsministry.com. He's brought to you by our foundation at worldviewfoundation.com, worldviewfoundation.com. So we have new articles today up at worldviewreport.com, your daily aggregated news site. We also have the 2 hours we did on Saturday and the 2 hours we did on Sunday with panels. Very, very great panels. Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. They're all available for you on demand at worldviewtube.com. And of course, at 2 o'clock, VCY America continues with Crosstalk at vcy.org. Don't go away.
Introducing the Sentry Wellness System, the ultimate under-sink water treatment solution designed with you in mind. Say goodbye to harmful toxins and hello to water enriched with essential nutrients like calcium and magnesium. Enjoy the benefits of increased pH for on-demand alkalinity, all from a zero-waste system that fits seamlessly into your home. Installation is a breeze, taking just 15 minutes, so you can have clean, healthy, great-tasting water straight from your tap. Perfect for apartments, homes, rentals, and even RVs. Elevate your hydration and well-being with the Sentry Wellness System because you deserve the best in every drop.
Sentry H2O. Tap into wellness.
All right, welcome back. Glad you're with us. Worldview Radio, our website, worldviewradio.com. Let's go right away to Leo Holman and Aaron Lavarco. Aaron, my condolences to your country. I know overnight we have at least 8 now that are dead from ballistic missiles that got through. We also had some controversy with some foreign, I think, Islamic-tied networks that were filming live one of your big power stations, were they not, that got hit last night, Aaron?
That's right, Brannon. Yeah, somehow they were able to do that. Somehow they were able to penetrate the atmosphere. Somehow we're investigating. That's all I know at this stage. But yeah, it's been a hard day. Eight of our people killed, and especially 3 that were in a bunker. They were actually doing the right thing, following the home front command. But the kind of missiles that were fired, like ballistic missiles, and it was a ballistic missile that hit, the force of the missile just penetrated through the bomb shelter. And that's one of the reasons why our Iron Dome is not as percentage-wise effective as it was a year ago, because the amount of ballistic missiles that are being fired, they travel at about 14,000 kilometers per hour. They are so fast, it's almost impossible to hit them. So some are getting through. So this war is really costly. Over not only 8 killed, but over 100 people are wounded. And it's infuriating.
But you had like 35 people missing over the weekend from one of those apartment buildings. So we're not adding those 35 to the 8 confirmed dead.
No, that's right, Brannon. And they're probably trapped under rubble. And I don't want to say anything negative, but it doesn't look good if they're still missing.
Right.
So we're looking for that. But it's been a bittersweet day. The casualties, that's war. It's hard, it hurts. But the positive, wow, we are winning this war, and the Iranians know it, and the Ayatollah knows it as well. And the latest I've heard, and in this war, even Ani the other night got a report that turned out to be fake news. I've done it myself, so I'm very careful. I'm trying to be more careful. But I just heard a report recently that I don't know whether the Ayatollah is seeking asylum in Russia or whether Putin is offering him asylum in Russia. But that's something that we need to keep our eye on. If that is the case, he's fleeing. Let's hope it's true, at least that he sees his ship is sinking. But the Iranian people, as you quoted earlier, they are on our side. They are wanting us to win this war for them. And you know what? We don't want to make it too long here, because if we continue to pummel Iran the way we're doing, it could get to the stage where the Iranian people, they are affected, like the Israeli people are affected by this war, and they may grow a little bit tired of the Israelis doing this. I don't think that they will turn against us, but it can cause, this attrition, this tiredness, and I wouldn't want that to work against us. But we're doing this fast. We're doing this. In fact, I just got an update literally 10 minutes ago. I was actually going to start off by saying, Brannon, I might have to go to the bomb shelter because the home front have told us they're ready to launch a massive barrage of rockets on us. But I just got an update to say that we took out the launches, all of the launches of this massive attack that they were planning. So we are just, it is just amazing how fast we're moving, how strategic we're moving. May it continue, may it bring victory and liberation for not only the Israeli people, but for the Iranian people.
Amen to that. All right, Leo, what is the latest, not only on this flight from China, this mystery flight from China to Tehran, but first let's go to President Trump. over the weekend, he kept asking for the negotiations for let's get back to the table. That brought great consternation from some folks on our panel who are like, why would he look to prop them up by asking and giving them legitimacy, continuing by asking them to come to the table when it's a regime that's fallen and can be replaced with a freedom-loving government that the people so many want in Iran? Why would he keep doing that? Comment on that, and what is his latest today? Is he still asking for Iran to come to the table?
Well, several things. By the way, I totally agree with your monologue about the schizophrenic American policy with the foreign policy not lining up with the domestic policy. And you could add to what you said about the coddling of the Islamists here in America at the same time we're saying they're the big enemy abroad by saying that we do the exact same thing with China, right?
Yep.
They're the big enemy abroad, but let's bring all their money over here. Let's bring all their university exchange students over here. Let's do business with them. We'll be glad to take your money, China, but just don't bring any spies or bioweapons smugglers in while you're at it. I'm sorry. That those two policies do not square with each other. Now, as far as the seemingly contradictory or maybe just tone deaf, I guess would be a better word for it, comments by President Trump. You know, when this thing started, what was it supposed to be? It was supposed to be Israel and or the United States taking out Iran's nuclear facilities. At some point, it turned into a regime change operation. And I guess we shouldn't be surprised by that, because we have General Wesley Clark on the record more than a decade ago, spilling the beans on the deep state's goal and ambition to take out 7 Islamic countries' governments and replace them with more Western compatible regimes. And so I think that was probably the real reason for the war all along. I think Israel used the threat of nuclear attack from Iran as the pretext or the predicate for the war. And I think that was very clever, because who wants an Islamic regime to have nuclear weapons? But I think the real reason was to take out the Islamic regime and replace it with something more palatable to Israel and the United States and Western Europe. Western Europe being key, by the way, because they're within range of the Islamic Republic's missiles as well as Israel, right? And so, I'm always for greater transparency. So while I agree that this regime needed to go, I hate the way it was done, sort of whining and complaining for decades about this nuclear program that is within days or weeks or months of being activated. We've heard that since the mid to late 1990s. So it just seems it doesn't pass. It smells fishy. Okay. Whereas I think the American people would be more on board with it. At least the MAGA movement might not be so divided over it if we'd been more upfront and explained to the people the desperate need to get rid of this tyrannical regime in Tehran, and that it was somehow worth expending American resources to accomplish, whether that be, funds from the Treasury and military equipment, or, God forbid, boots on the ground and American lives. Explain the rationale, I guess, in a way that you would assume that we're all adults in the room and can handle the truth, right? I wish the president had been more forthcoming right from the start, more transparent, and the same with the Israeli government.
And with that being said, great commentary. I'm going to go to Benjamin Netanyahu. I'm guessing this is going to be in Hebrew, but let's see.
למסיבת העיתונאים של ראש הממשלה.
Yeah, it is. All right. He says, quote, "We are destroying their missile launchers. We have wiped out Iran's leadership. Israel controls the sky of Tehran. More is coming. We're not done. We're on the path to victory. The world knows it. Iran knows it," end quote. And now we're hearing, Aaron, that Netanyahu is not ruling out taking out Khomeini, right?
Correct. Yeah. He said it's not going to be taken off the table, which is another way of saying it's on the table. Yeah, that's what the people want, the people of Iran wants. And I think more and more Israelis who are living in tyranny and fear here, living in bomb shelters. Last night, 3 times we were up. 2 million, 3 million, 4 million running to their bomb shelters. I'm talking to people during the day. It's just destroying their lives. It's, the mothers, the children, everything's closed down. No schools, practically just things like food places, gas stations. Life has stopped for now.
All right, let's go to Leo. President Trump today. Is he today still calling for the mullahs to come back to the table, negotiate, or is he done with that?
It changes, it seems like, by the hour. So I'm not sure what the latest statement is from him.
Logan, can we see what the latest is? I thought I heard him saying now today the time's passed. I don't know. I will look. We do have interesting video footage, though. Have you guys seen the lady in Iran? While she's squabbling and carrying on with her burqa on and everything, Iran state media gets smacked. Didn't seem quite as defiant. I mean, she was like, got her burqa on, got her hands in the air, all holier than thou, Allah Akbar, and all this other garbage, and then voila, the Zionists. Yeah, I think I'll go now. Thank you. I didn't hear her sing Allah Akbar or any of those other phrases they're known for. I just saw her running. So there you go. This is sweet. I love that video. That's my favorite. These people are getting exactly what they deserve. But I really pray the Iranian people, the Persians, get liberty. Because I think the bulk of the country, Aaron, I think the bulk of the country are sick of this regime. They want freedom. What say you?
Oh, no question. No question about it. We see it in videos. We've known it for years. There are even reports of now talking about the day after in Iran and who's going to take over. We talked about that. Perhaps it's going to be the crown prince. And by the way, I heard a report, once again, it needs to be verified, that Bibi either has been or is going to be interviewed by the main opposition channel in Iran.
Wow.
Isn't that interesting?
Isn't it?
And you know what? The theme of the interview is called regime change. So stay tuned for that one.
Stay tuned. And we got video footage of, let me pull that down now, guys. We got video footage of I know a commercial popped up there while I was playing a video. IDF targets.
Maybe it was the Ayatollah running.
That was probably very true. IDF targets truck loaded with missile launchers, weapons moving to Tehran. And now you're telling me, while your folks are being told stay close to the bomb shelter, and Iran was boasting the biggest missile attack yet to come against your country, you're now reporting to us live that your IDF has taken out those launchers, so that strike has now been canceled, right?
Yes, it is. And by the way, taking out those launchers, I've been reading reports that for months and months, even years, the Mossad have been working undercover COVID.
Hold right there. We'll get to China shipping a plane to Iran. Don't go away. Hello, I'm Brannon Howse. Melissa and I have been taking Bella Grace, this powerful elixir, since last fall, 2023. The results have been amazing. My hands would crack and bleed, deep cuts and cracks every winter for years. No matter what we did, we couldn't get them to stop cracking and bleeding. This year, I took Bella Grace, no cracking, no bleeding. My acid reflux, gone. Haven't had to take a Pepsid. My hair growth, the last 2 times I had my hair cut, the lady had to use thinning shears on my hair. That's amazing. We've also received incredible feedback from you, our listening audience, and the impact it's had for you. This is loaded with astaxanthin. That's a powerful antioxidant. Collagen, but top grade collagen. Studies show 95% of it is being absorbed in the body because of the way they develop it. Then we have something called cat's claw. That's an anti-inflammatory from a vine in Peru. It's the bark, and it's an anti-inflammatory. There are about 80 clinical trials on Bella Grace. Please get a subscription now and save. MelissaHowse.bg.com. Out of Iran, you know, we have a team like Usama Dakdok and Sharam Hadian and Annie Cyrus. And you got Aaron in Israel, and some of them speak Farsi and some of them speak Arabic. You can get a lot done for a little network like ours. And we are now getting breaking news, and Annie will join us on TV tonight to describe it. She is reporting to us the phrase Islamic Republic is quietly disappearing from the IRIB crawler. You know how we have a crawler on our TV, Fox News, CNN, all of them are these little crawlers, right? Well, apparently and it's posted on X. Where is it, Logan? It's on my X? All right, let me go over there to our X real quick. We've put it up there on the screen so everybody can clearly see it. So what do I do to get to my own X? Profile? I know. You think I would know all this, right, Logan? Okay, here we go. All right, here we go. The phrase Islamic Republic is quietly disappearing from the IRIB crawler after the Israeli strike on the state broadcast headquarters. Viewers noticed something strange. IRIB is now showing lines like Armed Forces Iran and Iran's broadcast. The words Islamic Republic have vanished.
Wow.
But the double spaces remain. They're not announcing it. They're not admitting it, but they're erasing it live and in plain sight. Folks, it looks like the opposition has taken over one of the broadcast centers in Iran. Now, maybe this is to be a great time for President Trump to put out a tweet calling them to the table to negotiate and stop the fall of the regime. I'm being sarcastic. I hate to say this. In my opinion, unless there's more that I don't know, and of course there is, but in my opinion, this has been a huge miscalculation on the part of President Trump and his team. I see you shaking your head, Aaron. What are your response?
Well, no, I was shaking my head thinking, I wonder if he would do that, if he or someone is going to give the Ayatollah a lifeline because of special interests, which I don't know anything about. Look,
whoa, stop right there. You can't put your toe in the water and run away. Go ahead, flesh that out. That was a loaded phrase.
I was just about to run away and you called me.
That was a loaded phrase. Go ahead. What I read. Here's what I read. What I read is he wants this regime to stay propped up because he has deals he has cut with Islamic countries and he's got a lot of money they're promising and he doesn't want that money going away. So he's thinking now about money, not from a strategic what is best for the region.
And he actually made a statement today or yesterday, your time, I don't know, that he mentioned, he quoted something about the stock exchange. This is going to be good for the stock exchange, something like that. He referred to that. So look, I don't know. I did throw that out there. Did you think I wasn't going to pick up on it? No, I think you're a lot smarter than that.
Yeah. But are the people in Israel as frustrated as some of us that are not just blind followers? And I told you guys, hey, there'll be days we agree with him and we appreciate him and we thank him and we're going to tell him so. There are going to be days where we don't agree. So I think, again, continually putting out tweets about coming back to the table and somehow stopping Israel or pressuring them not to eliminate the Khomeini. Khomeini is a problem. I let them finish this off and have freedom. And I'm like all weekend long with the rest of you guys. What is going on here? I mean, this is a fair question to ask, is it not? What are the folks in Israel saying about this? Or they start? I'll tell you, Rob Lindstad, he wasn't holding back. He says the folks in Iran, are in Israel. The folks in Israel are not happy right now with the President Donald Trump. And even the folks in Iran, many of them are not happy with President Trump. They see the great Cyrus now as being not Donald Trump, but Benjamin Netanyahu is about to liberate them. Aaron?
Well, you know what? It's a hard one to read. A couple of months ago, when we started to see Trump change a little bit, hold back BB, it started to sow seeds of not doubt, but questioning Trump's commitment to Israel. And look, deep down, this is my own personal opinion. I actually think Trump, he in some levels, he's a genius. I think he knows exactly what he's doing. I think he's playing both sides, but at the end of the day, he is on Israel's side. I think he's just trying to walk a fine line. And remember when I was with you in Washington, D.C.?
Yep.
And Bibi was there with Trump. And the key thing that was my takeaway is when Trump said, if there's an attack against Iran, Israel will lead it. He made that very clear. And I was watching Bibi sitting there, and I kind of felt like Bibi looked like a little boy that had just been thrown out into the lion's den. And I think Trump is letting Bibi, maybe for his own political career, maybe Trump is propping up Bibi against all of those opposition people to promote Bibi and promote Bibi's cause. I don't know, but that's what my hunch is. I really think he's playing this very, very shrewdly, very smart. Yeah, I think he is compromising in some areas when it comes to the dollar, making America again. He's not perfect, but that's my take on it.
Well, we have the hats. We have the hats being printed. Make Iran great again. We have the hats. They're coming soon. What do you say, Leo? Don't hold back, Leo. What are your thoughts?
I actually agree with what Aaron said. I think there's probably more to the story, the backstory that we're not privy to.
Correct.
I think the Iranian regime is a goner, and everybody knows it. I think maybe, perhaps, this is just a theory on my part. I have no inside knowledge, but perhaps there's still an argument over exactly who will be put in to replace the Iranian regime.
So right now, what is going on is the CIA is trying to figure out who they want.
CIA, Mossad, correct. And Donald Trump hasn't quite been informed about it yet. I think that's a possibility because I don't think presidents make those decisions. I'm sorry. And I don't think Netanyahu gets to make that decision.
If you've got guys,
I think the intelligence agencies will make that decision.
But if you've got guys on your faith-based panel that have spent 20 years in prison for working with jihadis that are now on your faith-based panel, then that tells me you might want to be careful having certain people in this administration pick the next leader of Iran. He could be another
look
jihadi.
Look what happened in Syria.
Right.
So yeah, that's why I'm still saying, folks, hold your celebrations. I'm happy that this regime is a goner. I think that's a foregone conclusion at this point. Aaron is absolutely correct. They're making plans. I've read several reports that even from as long as 2 days ago that the mullahs were in negotiations, quote unquote, with Russia for their escape hatch.
Well, here's what Just the News is reporting. Putin warns Iranian Supreme Leader Khomeini his regime's survival is at stake. Russian President Vladimir Putin reportedly called President Trump at Iran's urging to address the attacks between itself and Israel. So I want to get quickly to this shipment from China. What is that all about? From China to Tehran.
Okay, just let me finish my point that hold the celebrations. Okay. I know it's difficult until we know exactly what is replacing the Islamic Republic of Iran. We can be cautiously optimistic. Yes, it's very positive what we're hearing. But let's hold off on, getting giddy about it until we know exactly what is replacing this regime. Mm-hmm. Now, the plane coming from China, great question, Brannon. We have a report out of MSN and they are like a conduit for mainstream news. They run news from different news outlets. And I hadn't heard of this one that they're using for this report, but it is run through MSN. So let's say it's a mainstream report. And they're saying that a cargo plane has arrived, a huge military cargo plane from China to Tehran, and that it flew into Tehran with its responders off, okay? And that is a bad sign that it could be on some sort of spy mission or covert mission, I guess is the word, to deliver something to Tehran. Is it new weaponry? Is it something other element that might be critical to continuing the war effort and propping up this regime? We don't know at this point. All we know is that it's suspicious that a large cargo plane would arrive from China, Iran's close ally, with its responders off last night.
So let me ask you this, Aaron. Is there a chance that China has been arming Iran for a long time?
Well, don't Iran provide oil for China? And what are they getting back in return apart from some money? Maybe there's some, under the table bargaining or exchanging going on. So in answer to your question, I hate to answer yes, but yes, for sure, maybe that's what's going on. But that's scary. This report is kind of scary. Who knows what was delivered? That really is a concern.
Let's see. How much of Iran's oil goes to Russia? Does anyone know?
Russia? You mean China?
How much China? How much of Iran's oil goes to China? Yeah. Some reports say about 90%. I don't know if that's accurate. We can only do it on the fly. Let's see. But it does look like quite a bit goes from Iran to China. No doubt about it. Let's see. Based on information available, there isn't a specific percentage readily available regarding the amount of oil. The data may vary over time. Okay, thank you. All right, so we'll ask it some more questions and find out. But some say it's a lot. So there you go. All right, 1-800-347-9829, 1-800-347-9829. Your thoughts, your comments, your questions, 1-800-347-9829. Were you going to say something, Aaron?
Yes, I was. It was just a spin-off from what Leo was saying, talking about who is going to be the new leader of Iran. Not only is that a big question and big issue, but what about who's going to be looked upon as the new leader in the Islamic world? I'm not saying that the Iranians have been the big leader, but as far as muscle goes, with all the threats and the military and the missiles, they seem to have been the leader of the pack. And I would imagine that nations like Turkey are waiting in the wings, just really waiting to step up. You can imagine Erdogan sitting there. He's probably, putting his hands on his table, rolling his fingers, and maybe he's ready to step up into that gap. And that may be even more scary than having the Iranians, because Turkey are far more powerful military than Iran.
Here is an article, April 25th, 2025.
I 100% agree with what Aaron just said. Yeah.
April 25th, 2025, Iran to sign $4 billion oil field deal with Russia in bid to bolster ties. We'll be back with your calls, 1-800-347-9829. We live in uncertain times. In fact, we live at a time when our own governments all over the world are warning us that there could be big problems with our power grid. World War III seems to be right on the horizon. Let me ask you this. Do you have a satellite phone? Should communications go down with cell towers? Do you have a satellite phone to get a hold of that college student or your spouse who travels, whatever it might be, to get a hold of your senior adult parents? We have satellite phones at worldviewtalk.com, and you get the satellite phone for free when you sign up for their very reasonable payment programs for the service. Sign up for the service with a reasonable contract, get the satellite phone for free. Worldviewtalk.com. You'll also find they have, what I now have, which is a Solar generator. Yeah, I have a gas generator, an LP propane generator, but what if that goes down? I want to back up to my backup. So I now have a solar generator as well. You'll find them at worldviewtalk.com. Check it out today, worldviewtalk.com. All right, 1-800-347-9829. Let's go right back to Israel. Update, Aaron, from Netanyahu. Is that right, Aaron?
Yes, I quote what Bibi Netanyahu just said. He said, what we have just done with the elimination of Iran's security leadership is the Pages operation on steroids.
So the from the Grim Beeper to Operation Standing Lion.
Yeah, I mean, this is just incredible. I mean, how many days? This is the 4th day, and what we have accomplished. And like we were saying before, it's not over yet. Let's wait and see. But there are cracks, there are celebrations, and I got excited when you mentioned about, people.
Oh boy, here we go. Trump expected to offer Iran's last chance proposal.
Wow.
U.S. and European sources told the Jerusalem Post. Okay.
Well, by the way, Brannon, Iran have been asking the Saudis, the Qataris, and Oman to ask USA to stop the war. So the Iranians are trying to get America to stop the war, but they're doing it through other Muslim nations.
But those are the Muslim nations that are offering us this $1 trillion. So we're...
Yeah, exactly. The Muslim nations, they're not paying attention.
So aren't we a compromised broker? Are we not a compromised broker at this point, Leo?
100%. 100%. Donald Trump is failing on both sides of what he said he would do. He said that he would end the Russian-Ukraine war, but he got too involved with Ukraine to be an honest
cutting deals with them for 10-year mineral rights, which really means a 10-year security deal. So he's not. He can't really broker with Russia now. And now he's doing it with the Arabs, and he's doing the same thing. Yeah. Wow.
Correct.
Now, where are you going to get this kind of analysis? I'm not kidding. Is anyone else pointing these things out?
Not that I've seen.
No. Because you know what, frankly, a lot of people in the so-called conservative world are scared to death to provide good, clean analysis because they're afraid they might upset some of their MAGA base. You know what? I don't take my marching orders from the MAGA base or the White House. We're just here to present truth and facts. That's our job, right, guys?
And let the chips fall where they may.
We said we would call them the way we seize them. Praise these guys when they do a good job. Say when we think that's a wrong move. Because long after Donald Trump and his administration have come and gone, more than likely we'll still be here. And we're not about to trade our credibility for access or approval or anything else. Sorry. We just we're an independent network. Let me run to the phone calls. They're lit up. Holly, line 1. Holly, go right ahead, Holly. Hi, Holly, line 1.
Hey, Brannon.
Hey, Holly.
Thanks for taking my call. I'm with you on holding Donald Trump accountable here, and we got to give him credit where credit is due, but we also got to make sure that we're honest about some of these things. And one of my first concerns was the CBDCs and AI, and he's kind of letting me down there.
Yeah. Palantir.
Say that again.
Palantir, the big contract for these guys.
Yep, I'm familiar with that. Actually, Brandon, my question for you guys surrounding this whole thing with Iran. I recently learned a little bit about the centralized banks and the Rothschild. I mean, I've kind of known a little bit about this anyway over the years, but my understanding is Iran is one of just a couple countries left that is not encompassed there. Do you think there's a chance that we're going to war over that? Obviously, we know we go for oil and a lot of global.
Yes, let me get to that. Very good question. Leo, is this a regime change in order to try to get Iran to fall in line with the BRICS banking system? Are there bankers involved here moving chess pieces?
Well, like I said earlier, I believe the whole argument about we need to destroy Iran's nuclear facilities was a false pretext, a false reason given for this war. They either had the bomb already or they were not as close to getting it as we were told, because every time that they've been close over the last 25 years, they haven't been able to seal the deal and finish it for whatever reason. We don't know. Maybe it was Russia, holding them back. Who knows? I don't know. I don't pretend to know. But I do know that the real reason for this war was a regime change. And so then you have to start asking yourself, the problem with most conservative analysts, okay, I hate to say this, but we're not cynical enough. Okay, the U.S. deep state and the military-industrial complex could give two hoots about the freedom of the Iranian people. Okay, let's get that on the table right now. So knowing that, and I'm not just saying that to make a crazy accusation, you see the fruits of the deep state's actions over decades.
Yes.
And they always unleash fury and violent fury on Christians. That's what happened in Iraq. That's what happened in Syria. Why should we expect anything different in Persia?
And it's going on right now, by the way, in Nigeria. We have lots and lots of Christians being slaughtered in Nigeria, and you don't hear a word about it.
So this caller's premise, I don't know, but there could be some merit to that, is all I'm saying. That or some other reason that we're not aware of.
Let's go quickly, Arizona.
That has nothing to do with freedom.
Jason, Arizona, line 2. Hi, Jason.
Hi, Brannon. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Real quick, I listen to your show every day while I Uber and drive about town. And
thank you.
About here where I'm at in Scottsdale, it's about half. Half are for Israel and support, and the other half absolutely hate it. And real quick, well, I think it was Aaron making a report earlier about the missile strikes. I had two passengers, and they were talking amongst themselves. And just to make a quick point about Bible prophecy and the hatred for Israel just because they don't bother to do any investigation other than what mainstream says. And the gentleman made the comment, Israel's just poisoning the whole earth. They have to be eradicated. I'm just sit in awe when I hear statements from that coming from, somebody who you think would be, I guess, educated.
Yeah.
I don't know if that has to do with anything, but you know what I'm saying.
Absolutely. Great point. That's a very good point. And most people are not educated on these things. You're absolutely right. Great call. Closing comment, Aaron, the music's playing.
May we continue to rise up like a lion and devour our enemy and bring about liberation to the Iranian people, to the Israeli people. We don't want to live in these bomb shelters anymore.
Absolutely not. We'll have both of them on tonight on Brannon House Live. LeoHolman.com, LeoHolman.substack.com, LeoHolman.com, and LeoHolman.substack.com. Light to the Nation's ministry is Aaron. Be sure to stay tuned for Crosstalk coming up at the top of the hour on vcy.org. Thanks for listening. Take care. And we're back with WROS out of Jacksonville, Florida, and you here at Worldview too. Guys, isn't it interesting that so much of the country is so divided on this? And we're seeing this more and more in the so-called conservative MAGA world even. Tucker Carlson, Mark Levin are each other. President Trump's administration is split over this. I mean, this at the end of the day may be what brings the whole MAGA movement. It just disintegrates because they cannot coalesce around a domestic and foreign policy. Aaron, Leo, any thoughts there?
Yeah, well, I mean, the Bible does say that in the end times, God will make Jerusalem a stumbling block, right? Mm-hmm. And so that, to me, told us that at some future point, and maybe that point is now, the world is going to be very, very divided over Israel. And that even includes, in my mind at least, this is just my opinion. The first part is biblical fact. This part is Leo Holman's conjecture. Sometimes we can be on the right side, but for the wrong reasons. And so that's something to think about as well. If we do the right thing, but then our follow-up is to put, as we were talking earlier about the wrong type of people in charge of Iran, then that may not bode well for us, because we were doing the right thing, but not for the right reasons. We weren't doing it because of what the Bible was saying, bless Israel so you might be blessed, but rather use Israel to accomplish regime changes around the world that will benefit Western U.S. hegemony. And that's the real reason for it, not because we want to see the Iranian people set free.
Even Daniel says that the Antichrist is going to have to go to war, rip out 3 of the leaders by the roots to get the New World Order put in place. So even Antichrist is going to have to do that, right? Should we not expect the bankers would be trying to rip leaders out in order to gain control? It seems as to me, many of the globalists, they maybe want to get rid of Putin because they want control of him, and maybe they want to get rid of guys like the Khomeini so they can have a more of a Saudi Arabia type situation going on there,
or Turkey,
or Turkey, right?
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying earlier, Brannon. Who's going to step up into the Muslim world? And this is going to create a huge vacuum, and maybe that's what Trump is waiting for.
Yeah,
he wants more nations to come into the Abraham Peace Accords. Again, that's going to create a huge amount of money for the economy. This is maybe what he is shrewdly working at behind the scenes, taking a backseat role, letting Bibi do the work, and he's supporting Bibi. On one hand, he says, I'm not involved, but then the next day he'll say, no, we are supporting Israel. So I think he's...
Yeah, but I don't understand if that's what he's doing. Why does he keep trying to call him back to the table, Leo?
That could only be, well, I shouldn't say it could only be, because there could be many factors at work here that we're not aware of. But I tend to agree with Aaron that something is still on the table to be negotiated here, okay? And that could be exactly who the United States is going to throw its weight behind to support for the replacement of the Islamic Republic.
President Trump is keeping the door open that it'll be the United States of America that negotiates the deal. Maybe it's not with the old regime, but with the new people, but he wants to make sure the United States is the one that puts that deal together.
Correct.
Okay. Aaron, we're getting reports that your cell phones, massive cyber attack on cell phones in Israel, is that impacting you at all?
Well, I just got a report as well saying that there have been fake reports about incoming missiles to put fear and terror into the people. So I will have to check into that. But we get extreme alerts on our cell phones all hours of the night. I'd be surprised if they're infiltrating, millions of people. But Leo,
at this point, if it's just the Islamic Republic that is doing it, I would be surprised. If we get a report now or in the days ahead that something of this magnitude is going down, I would think the prime culprit would be China. Mm-hmm. Or Russia.
Interesting.
Mm-mm-mm. Well, we're all watching to see what happens with this flight from China to Iran. Netanyahu keeps talking about America, you're next, you're on the list, they're coming after Donald Trump. It's almost like Netanyahu has some intelligence that there's some kind of big attack coming to America, Leo.
It could be, but more than likely that's just Bibi trying to, make it sound like we're all on the same team, don't abandon ship. I think he's rightly very concerned at this point that, because of the waffling of Donald Trump, I'm sure he's been given some firm affirmation from the U.S. government, maybe Donald Trump himself, that, hey, we got your backside here. If things go awry, we will step in. But we're not going to overtly and directly participate in this unless you absolutely need us. I think that may be the case.
More tonight on Brannon Howse Live, folks. Thanks for your support. WorldviewFoundation.com. May God save America.
You're watching Worldview 2, built on the 35 years of Worldview books, documentaries, research, high-profile interviews, and the radio and television broadcasts of Brannon Howse.
Colonel Rob Manus has a lifelong record of providing dedicated service to this nation, having worked his way up from